Hello, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ashley. Today you're going to see all the books that I read in January, and then at the end we're going to do a summary of all of the books that I wanted to read in my January TBR and what I actually managed to read in my TBR. And I'm really curious to see what that breakdown is. So let's get to it. Okay, first book of the year, The 12 Dates of Christmas by somebody Bliss. Let me look that up real quick. Jenny Bayliss. I give this book 2 stars because, first of all, I don't think it stayed true to the original purpose of the book, and I would have given it less stars, but it was really well written and all the characters were very real, but the plot was all over the place. So the premise of this book is that you have this girl, and I can't even remember her name because that's how impactful it was, and she signs up for a dating service, and she goes on 12 dates before Christmas to try and find romance. And that's how it's sold. But the thing is, we are introduced fairly quickly before anyone else in the novel to a past best friend of hers named Matt. I remember his name randomly. And we know basically from that Matt is going to be the one. So like I saw it coming the entire time that she and Matt were going to be the ones to end up together. And then she proceeds to go on 12 dates with 12 other guys who are all weird and awkward and nerds and like obviously not a good fit for the main character. And it's just like the pacing is so off with this book. This would have been great if she actually had been dating and seriously interested in the people she was going on these 12 Christmas dates with. Like, of course you could have some dates that are really bad. That's part of the dating life. But this book, it had all of the Gilmore Girls town vibes. The main character felt a little bit like Lorelai. She's actually a really super interesting character. She is a professional baker. She's also a professional fabric designer. So she's got a lot of really interesting characteristics about herself. But I don't really like I want to care more, but the pacing is so slowed down and I know where the novel is going. So every time she goes on a date and we spend like 20 to 50 pages on a date, I know she's not going to end up with that guy because she's going to end up with her best friend Matt. So think Lorelai going with all these other dates, except you always know the entire time that she's going to end up with Luke. And so then you're just frustrated because she's not with Luke. Like there's no actual thought given to these men that she's going on a date with. And so it was mostly boring. Lots of potential, really boring. Took me like 3 weeks to get through. It wasn't a great romance. I would not add this to the top of my list for good romances. So that's book number 1. And then book number 2 is Educated by Tara Westover. This book has utterly destroyed me. I finished this yesterday night. And so if you don't know anything about this, this is one of the best, it's been on the New York Times bestseller list for a while. I don't know if it's currently on the New York Times bestseller list, but it's probably one of the best-selling memoirs in the last like 2 to 3 years. This is a story following Tara, whose parents are extremists and they don't believe in taking any sort of help from the government. They don't believe in the public school system because you'd be corrupting your children if you sent them to public school. They don't believe in using doctors. Is that everything? I think. Yes. So this is the story of Tara growing up in that, and then she eventually decides that she wants to take the SAT and go to college. And so then she goes to college and discovers this entire new world outside of her family situation. So when she goes to college, she doesn't know anything about the Holocaust or the Civil Rights Act, or she thought Europe was a country, not a continent. So this is the process of her becoming more educated and eventually turning around and telling her family, like, what is going on here? It's a memoir that reads like a thriller or horror novel. There were so many times that I couldn't put this down. I would be listening to it and I was like, I have to keep listening. Like I can't stop in the middle of this because the stakes are so high. It involves threats on life, a junkyard, midwifery, Armageddon makes an appearance, Harvard makes an appearance. This book is just, I love this book so much. I love all of the themes that it covers. and I definitely will probably reread this sometime this year, but I would love to be able to do it with a physical copy of it. So I need to get my hands on a physical copy. I haven't seen one, but I also haven't been paying attention to a physical copy yet. So we'll have to see what maneuvering I can get for that. Anyway, that is everything for this. My mind just went completely blank. This update. Books that I'm going to be moving into next. I feel like I'm in a book hangover after Educated. Like, nothing seems really interesting to me. I wish she'd write a sequel because I would immediately read that now. That's where we're at the moment. I'll check in with you in a minute. Hey, I'm back. It's early in the morning, so I'm trying to be quiet but still loud enough that you can hear me. Anyway, side details. Okay, so I finished 2 books since my last update. Perfected by Kate Jarvik, like Jarvis. Kate Jarvis Birch. And then I also finished The Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery. So let's start with Perfected. This story follows a world where it has been made legal in the United States to create clones, human clones, and call them pets. So we follow the pet Ella as she gets introduced into a house, and then she's treated less than human, and she's supposed to be this perfect little plaything essentially, and then she falls in love and things go terribly awry. In terms of my enjoyment of this novel, I would give this a 4 out of 5 stars in terms of enjoyment, because I was genuinely excited every night when I got to lie down and read this book. I only spend probably 30 minutes physically reading every day, and so I was really excited to read every night. So much so that I didn't want to stop reading, and it became a bit of a problem because I needed to like enforce some like hard bedtime rules. But I really enjoyed reading this. In terms of the plot itself and the characters, overall, I would give this book probably a 2 or a 2.5. I was really interested in the plot, but I didn't think the writing was anything spectacular. I didn't think it was anything terrible either. And the plot had there's just a lot of missing details that I think could have been filled in and could have easily added to the story. But in terms of enjoyment, loved it. I will not be keeping the series, I don't think, unless the next 2 books are dramatically impress me and they get dramatically better. I don't think that I will keep these, but I am going to finish the series. But the next book that I finished was an audiobook, The Blue Castle by L.M. Montgomery. This is my second 5-star read in the month of January. This book was adorable. Everything about this book was adorable, and it was so well written. I love L.M. Montgomery's writing style. I think I need to pick up Anne of Green Gables because I love this. I love this writing. There were so many... Okay, so let me explain what this book is about. This book follows Valency Sterling, and it's told that she has a fatal heart condition, and she decides that she's not been enjoying her life, and she decides to change everything because she knows she's about to die. So she decides to stop taking the emotional manipulation from her extended large family with a lot of very important rules. She decides to get a job and essentially to live the life the way that she wants, and it transforms her on the inside and on the outside. It's a romance, and it's one of the sweetest romances I have ever read. It's so believable, and there were so many moments when I was laughing out loud because her family is very prim and proper, and she starts to go to parties and say things that makes everybody very uncomfortable, and I just loved all of those scenes. It made me so happy. The ending is definitely leaning more into just a fairy tale ending, and I appreciated that. I loved that it was a fairy tale ending, but I did wish that there was a different ending there that was maybe not quite so unbelievable, but I did like it. But overall, 5 out of 5 reading experience, 5 out of 5 for the writing, the plot, the characters. Absolutely love this. Shoot, I don't even remember what I'm here to film. January wrap up. What books did I finish? I don't even know. Let me look at my notes. Okay, hello, welcome back. I'm functioning on like 3 hours of sleep, so this should be entertaining. So I finished 2 more books, Sweet Girl by Rachel Hollis, and then I finished Majesty by Catherine McGee, which is book 2 in American Royals. Both of these were adorable. See, okay. I was a tad bit underwhelmed with Sweet Girl's ending, and I think I was mad because the entire point leading up to it, I was so in love with the characters. I was so in love with how much she loved baking and all of the creations that she was making and everything she was adding to it. I was totally there for that passion. I could definitely tell that Rachel Hollis herself loves to bake, and she had a food blog for a long time. And like that shone through, and it was gorgeous and beautiful, and I loved it. And then I liked the romance. It was a enemies to lovers, very mild enemies to lovers trope. Which I loved, but the entire time the main character had this deep, dark secret. And then when that deep, dark secret got revealed, I was like, okay. The main character, she gets raped and she ends up pregnant, and then she loses the pregnancy. And this is extremely traumatic and traumatizing for her, and she never speaks of it again. And she undergoes an entire personality change and shift because of that. But I don't feel like the foreshadowing to lead up to that was done or handled very well. Because when that reveal happened, I didn't care. And I don't know, like, because I genuinely loved these characters and I loved what she was doing with them, but that part fell so flat for me, and my enthusiasm for the book definitely tanked after that revelation, and that was probably in the last like 70 pages of the book. And like we could clearly see how it had changed her, and we could clearly see her changing in this new relationship she was going into. But I think the fact that she waited until the very end of the book to reveal that information maybe is what bothered me so much, because she threw this gigantic subject on us and then gave no room for exploration of it, in terms of the characters and how they reacted. And like she did some of it, and she like had the characters go to therapy, and like I loved the messages that she sent about that, but I don't know, that it just didn't translate as well for me. So it's not a 5-star read, but it's definitely a 4, maybe 4.5 stars. I will read this again. And if I find any more books by Rachel Hollis, any of her nonfiction or her fiction work, I will definitely pick that up and read it. I don't know why that part landed so awkwardly with me, but I just didn't feel like that was pulled off, and because that was one of the main central reasons for her motivation as a character, it kind of brought the whole book down just a little bit for me. But it was still a really good book, and I still would highly recommend it. And if you're maybe not used to the trope of contemporary romance, that may not bother you at all. I just have read a lot of it, and so I didn't feel like it was as well pulled off as it could have been. Okay, Majesty by Catherine McGee. This book blew my mind. This is 5 stars, hands down. Catherine McGee is a master writer. This is amazing. Like the entire time I was listening to this on audiobook, I was just blown away at how amazing how well crafted this was. She took characters and their romance lives, and I loved those characters and their romances, and then she did a 360-degree shift, can't turn my hand like that, from here to here, and the characters fell in love with a different romantic interest, and I was like, yes, I also love this person, and I also love this person, and you just created a whole bunch of love triangles, and I hate love triangles as a trope, but I love it here. When I first read American Royals, I was like, wow, this is like a very simplistic writing. And I don't think it's simplistic, I think it's understated. She writes in such a way that she doesn't draw a lot of attention to the writing itself, because some of it is very, very beautiful, but it's not necessarily lyrical or poetic. And the whole entire focus is on the characters. And so she's not distracting you at all with the writing from the story. And at first I was a little taken aback by that, but now I love that. I'm so here for this. And the story of Daphne, watching her character arc from, it's a villain, it's a tragedy character arc essentially is what's going on with her. masterful. I was like, this is how this is supposed to be done. This is, oh, it's so lovely. I think there are supposed to be 2 more books in this series, and I'm so excited. I need to buy these because I need to read them again. I want to annotate them. They're just so lovely. So it was well done in the terms of the 4 different romances that got shown up. I feel like I was, let's see, what point was I annoyed at? Oh, so the point when I put the book down and I was like, I can't, this is too dramatic, this is drama for drama's sake, is when Sam's new boyfriend, gosh dang it, what's his name? The crazy prince from the Kingdom of California. When he catches her and Teddy exchanging, or when Teddy kisses her head is a way of their saying goodbye, and he catches them and he just assumes that something's going on there, because I was like, we already did this. We already spent half the novel for Sam to try and get his attention and for them to fall in love, and now we're gonna break it off at the 70% mark. And they did get back together and it was satisfying, and I agreed with that. But that was the only part out of the entire story that I was like, this is drama for drama's sake, and I hate it, and I don't love this, and I can't take it. So I put it down for a day and a half, because I was a little bit annoyed with that. But overall, there was not a lot of things to criticize about this novel. To critique. It was just really well done, and I, as an aspiring writer, want to copy this. I adore her writing, and I'm just, I found a new favorite author. Okay, I think that's everything I have to say on that subject. So let's do a nice little sum up here. I did DNF 1 book, and I can't remember if I mentioned that in the vlog or not. I DNF'd A Great and Terrible Beauty by Libba Bray, because I loved the characters, but I got so bored. The reveal of information, the pacing was so off for me, in the sense that I just wasn't getting enough information fast enough, and so I Wikipedia'd it and I put it down. So that was the danger of that novel, I guess, in such a slow reveal. I guess, or maybe that just means that in my tastes, I like books that have a faster reveal than what this was doing. It did feel a lot like a classic in the sense that, like, every piece of information was like pulling teeth. That was a little bit how it felt, but it was beautiful character work. Just a boring plot, which is unfortunate. Anyway, okay, so in total, here's the list of books. Here they are, all the ones that I wanted to read in the month of January. And now let's highlight all the ones that I did manage to read, or tried to read. Because I DNF'd 2 books. Shadow. I do still want to finish reading that, but I'm just not going to read it right now. So 8 books, which is not bad. Like, that's not bad for the list of books that I wanted to read and the ones that I actually managed to read. Well done me. Well done me. All right, overall percentage, because I can't do math like that in my head. What score did I get? I have no idea what this score is, so yay! Hopefully it's a good score. Woo! Oh, I mean, regardless, I read a bunch of books. So yay me. Yay all around. I think that's everything I have. Yeah, that's it. I will talk with you all in the comments down below and in another video. Bye!